All right, let's try to solve a geopolitical riddle where the stakes are, well, nothing less than the entire global balance of power. We're talking about Taiwan, and we're going to break down why this one small island could actually trigger a massive worldwide conflict.
I mean, really think about it. Why are China and the United States seemingly on a collision course over this one island? You see the headlines constantly, right? Chinese warships are practicing blockades, American planes are running counterattack drills. The rhetoric is just getting hotter and hotter, and the stakes could not be higher. So what is really going on here?
You know, the entire conflict really boils down to one fundamental disagreement. For Beijing, Taiwan is a renegade province. It must be reunified with the mainland, and they'll use force if they have to. But for Washington and its allies, Taiwan is a thriving democracy and a critical partner. And for the rest of us, it's a flashpoint that could ignite a global war.
To really get our heads around this riddle, we have to start with a map. Because in this part of the world, geography isn't just some background detail, it's everything. It's destiny. So what you're looking at here is what military strategists call the first island chain. It's this string of islands that runs all the way from Japan down through Taiwan to the Philippines. Now, from a U.S. military point of view, this chain is like a massive defensive barrier. It effectively bottles up China's navy and keeps it from easily getting out into the open Pacific. And Taiwan? It's the critical, unsinkable aircraft carrier sitting right in the middle of it all.
And this isn't some secret strategy. David Sachs from the Council on Foreign Relations puts it pretty clearly. He explains that by controlling this chain, the U.S. can project its military power right up to China's doorstep. It can protect key allies and, of course, secure its own interests in the region.
But, as you can imagine, Beijing sees this very, very differently. A former Chinese diplomat, Victor Gao, calls this whole island chain idea an outdated, almost imperialist fantasy. From China's perspective, this isn't defense. It's an aggressive strategy designed to contain its rise as a global power and deny its navy access to the world's oceans.
It all comes down to controlling three key maritime choke points. You've got the Taiwan Strait, which is basically a superhighway for global trade. Then you have the Miyako and Bashi Straits. Those are the only real gateways for China's navy to get out into the Pacific Ocean. So you can see, if you control Taiwan, you control all three of these absolutely vital arteries.
But hold on. This isn't just about military strategy and maps. There's another layer to this riddle that is just as critical. In fact, it powers our entire modern world. It's about money, it's about technology, and it's about power.
Now, I want you to just focus on one single number for a second, 90%. Just let that sink in.
90% of what, you're probably asking? Well, it's a resource that in the 21st century is way more valuable than oil. That's right. 90% of the entire world's supply of the most advanced semiconductors, you know, the tiny brains that power literally everything, are made on this one island. And most of them by a single company, TSMC.
And we're not talking about just any old chips. These are the top-of-the-line ones. They're in the phone in your hand right now. They're in the car you drive. They're in the guidance systems of fighter jets. They are absolutely essential for training new AI. The entire global economy, America's, China's, everyone's, depends on the nonstop flow of these little electronic marvels from Taiwan.
But to truly understand Beijing's obsession with Taiwan, we have to peel back one final layer, and that's history. Because for China, this isn't just about strategy or economics. This is deeply, deeply personal.
So to understand modern China, you have to understand a concept they call the century of humiliation. This is a core part of their national story. It's a period where foreign powers basically carved up China, forced them into unequal treaties, and sparked all kinds of internal chaos. That trauma still deeply shapes Chinese nationalism and their foreign policy today.
And Taiwan plays a central role in this story. Back in 1895, China was forced to give the island to Japan. Then, after World War II, a brutal civil war broke out. In 1949, Mao Zedong's communists won on the mainland. The defeated side, the nationalists, fled to Taiwan and set up their own rival government. And that's why to this day you have two governments that both claim to be the one true China. This whole situation led to something called the One China policy, which is, frankly, a masterpiece of diplomatic ambiguity. Basically, the U.S. and most of the world officially recognizes the government in Beijing as the one and only China. But, and this is a huge but, the U.S. also maintains very strong, even if they're unofficial, relations with Taiwan. They sell it weapons for self-defense. It's this strange diplomatic limbo that has somehow kept the peace for decades. Okay, so we've got priceless strategic location, we've got a global tech treasure, and we've got the ghosts of history.
Now, let's bring it all together and see how these powerful forces are creating this massive ideological clash that is going to define our future.
What we're really looking at here is a fundamental clash of worldviews. The U.S. sees itself as protecting a fellow democracy from an authoritarian aggressor and, of course, upholding its security alliances in the region. But for China's leader, Xi Jinping, bringing Taiwan back into the fold, well, that's not just a policy goal. It's a core mission of what he calls the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. It's the final step in erasing that century of humiliation and restoring China to its rightful place as a global superpower. And this quote, it just perfectly captures the iron will in Beijing. The message could not be clearer. Reunification is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how. For them, it is a historical inevitability. It's a core mission of the Communist Party.
And this is exactly why this matters to everybody, everywhere. For U.S. allies like Japan, South Korea, and the Philippines, Taiwan is the ultimate test of American credibility. They are all watching and asking the same question. If the U.S. won't defend Taiwan, will it defend us? A Chinese takeover of the island would completely rewrite the rules of security for all of Asia.
So you see, the Taiwan Riddle is so much more than just some territorial dispute. It's a collision of geography, of technology, of history, and of ideology. It's a real place, it's a powerful idea, and it is a terrifyingly dangerous flashpoint. And the question for all of us is no longer if its story will impact our lives, but simply how.